You'll have to do regular experiments yourself. One cannot tame Brahma through arguments and reasoning, based on the opinions of different authors, or by opening study circles, or through speeches and lectures. For this you will have to develop your Agriya Buddhi, pointed intellect, with complete devotion and zeal. It is through this Agriya Buddhi that you will realize him with your entire being. In such an event he will no more remain an unimaginable object in the imaginary world. He will come down to you as the perceptible obvious entity of the earth. The crude intellect is sufficient for the comprehension of crude objects, but not to enter the domain of subtlety. For that it has to be refined into a subtler one. To understand the subtlest entity, it has to be made extremely subtle and sharp, like the point of a needle. All desires and propensities have to be centralized on a point. This is what is known as the Agriya Buddhi. When the intellect progresses from crudity to subtlety, the mind too becomes subtler and subtler, until finally it attains complete suspension. This very state of suspension is called identity with the characteristic self. The entity that then remains as the witness of that state of mental suspension, the Atman, is the characteristic self of the unit. The witnessing force behind the state of mental suspension is the Atman. People in general consider molecules and atoms alone to be the subtlest entities, while scientists at different times have declared different objects to be the subtlest entities according to their respective intellects and investigations, and those very so-called subtlest entities are later declared as crude by the scientists of the subsequent period. You are certainly aware that there was a time when the molecule was considered the subtlest particle. Afterwards, scientific investigations showed that the atom was still smaller than the molecule. Now the atom too has lost its position as the subtlest entity. The thread of such investigations taken in the past will be followed in the future also. Scientists will continue to raise their heads proudly in their respective times by refuting and falsifying the so-called knowledge of the past, and the common people will continue to respect them as the greatest scientists, quote, respect greatest scientists of their age. But the finding of their researches will not last eternally. They will not even merit appreciable recognition as truth for 2 or 3 centuries. The so-called knowledge or proofs of all these scientists will be utterly destroyed by the scientists of the future. This is quite natural in the case of physical science, for the path of physical science is analytical. Its rise and fall are subject to the play of construction and destruction. Here lies the fundamental or moral difference between physical and spiritual philosophies. Although physical science, in its pervasive sense, is a part of philosophy, only spiritual philosophy is unitive or synthetic. So when one physicist disproves the researches of another, he or she does not violate the nature of physical science. Rather, it is quite natural for him or her to do so. It is because of this that numerous benevolent achievements have been accomplished in the world. In philosophy, whenever there is an effort to enhance the predominance of polemics or sophistry, there too the analytical aspect of physical science is present. The difference between physical science and logician's philosophy is that the former has a considerable benevolent aspect, but the latter is dark on both sides. Logician's philosophy at times weaves a web of logic around matter, and at other times it endeavors to find the relation between thought and matter, and then again at other times it plays blind man's buff in the blind alley of thoughts. Nonetheless, the place of logician's philosophy should indeed be below that of physical science, instead of being between spiritual and material philosophies, for it does not appease the hunger of the body, mind and soul of living beings. Rather, it creates confusion in the mind and clouds it with the smoke of logic. Tantra has said in reference to these philosophies, Loka vya moha karaka, they sow the seed of disease in the minds of the people. Spiritual philosophy is synthetic, and those who have chosen this path are proceeding with their sadhana of attaining oneness. Hence, experienced scientists on this path cannot even think of destroying the hard-earned emerald glow of the experience of other scientists. Rather, they further heighten the brilliance of spiritual philosophy by blending their own glow with that of others. This is the fundamental difference between spiritual and material philosophies.